Hey peeps! A few of you have reached out over the last few weeks asking if I would talk about working with Deity to heal after times of heartbreak and mourning, and to kind of find yourself and allow your, I don't know, what do they call that? Like a glow up or whatever. And there is definitely content that I've already put out there on the channel from healing from Three of Swords moments. And when I talk about heartbreak, of course, I'm not just speaking about the heartbreak that happens at the end of a romantic relationship or a friendship even, but also when we physically lose someone that we love. I had things happen on multiple fronts with that last year, and so have really been walking in that energy. And I have to say, and there is going to be an offering in my Etsy shop coming soon in regards to working with both Venus and Isis for this type of healing. It's formulating. So when I have that offering ready to go for purchase on the channel, I will be sure to let everyone know. But I felt called to talk about this today because I've really had some really big full circle moments for myself in my personal life over the last week. And I've really been feeling this huge depth of gratitude towards Venus and Isis for walking this path of helping me to heal my heart. Again, yes, romantic relationships, but also Venus and Isis, fundamentally it's about how to find yourself again after those times of heartbreak, those Three of Swords moments, those Tower moments, those Eight of Cups moments. And even when we initiate an ending, we still have to move through a mourning process and period. And so in this video, I'm just going to kind of be speaking to my personal experience and also just offering some recommendations of how you can connect with Venus and Isis to assist you in moving through this time. Because I think Venus and Isis are very much sisters in holding spaces for times of sorrow and times of mourning and heartbreak. So the first thing that I think it's important to acknowledge is that we're never done with our healing work. It's not like, well, I handled that, and so now I'm done with that. I don't ever have to go back to that again. Every time we come back into contact with the Three of Swords, and I hate to say this to you, but I'm not going to lie to you. You may not be in Three of Swords now, but you're going to be again. Part of this realm is contrast, and we have great opportunities for soul growth through experiences of heartbreak and loss. So we cannot protect ourselves from the Three of Swords. We cannot protect ourselves from the Tower. We can't protect ourselves from the Wheel of Fortune. We cannot protect ourselves from the Eight of Cups. Those moments come. They're meant to happen to help us to grow. So I think the first thing that I really surrendered into personally last fall at a new level was knowing that I was going to have to go back and do some healing work around things that I'd already done healing work around. And that this next Three of Swords moment, which I had the ending of a relationship and then physical loss of a beloved person in my life through death, happened relatively quickly thereafter. And also surrendering into the realization of, oh, there's no, I'm not going to escape these feelings. So I want to encourage you to just surrender into the fact that the experience happened, that it's real. Venus is actually really beautiful for this energy to embrace. I think Venus really encourages you to embrace walking in beauty, which is an indigenous Native American saying and spiritual path, to find the beauty in each moment. So you can work with Venus to help you embrace the pain, the mourning, and the truth of your emotions. And I do think before you step into shadow work and deeper levels of understanding the meaning of things, it's very important to just honor that you're in the underworld. Now, you might want to work with Persephone for this part, right? But for me, it was actually Venus who really helped me to get real about the reality of human life, which is that Three of Swords moments happen to us all, and you can't build up walls to protect yourself from that. And even when you're doing all the things and your entire life is focused on a spiritual path, you're going to come up against those moments, right? But finding the beauty in the way that the pain had stripped me bare, and finding the beauty in being with the sadness. Now, this is something that sounds so easy, but I think our entire society right now is literally built around not feeling anything. You don't want to feel bad, you can go on social media, any form of social media. You don't want to feel bad, watch a video. You don't want to deal with how shitty you feel in the moment, you know, anything, right? It's all about keeping ourselves from feeling anything. So I think the first most important piece, if you want to have the glow up part, which is fun, right? Not gonna lie, which Venus is also here for. But first, it's finding the beauty in the dirt, in the ugliness, in the pain, in the scabbed knees. I always have a very strong visual for myself for those times of the real loss and heartbreak, of like being on your knees in the dirt. You know, I don't know if you remember being a kid and like playing outside and falling in the ground, and like where the dirt's really hard and compacted in it, and you really skin your knees. And as a little kid, just like laying there like crying because it hurts so bad, even though you know it's going to dissipate in the moment, like it just stings. It's more of like a stinging burn, right? So I always get that visual. And I think there is a beauty to being on your knees though in the ground, and you can take all of that any way you want to. There's a beauty to being brought to your knees. And this is the magic of the Tower card for us. When we are stripped bare, we get to know ourselves. So by actually feeling your real, true, authentic feelings, you start to see the beauty in the mourning process. And it's actually really powerful, potent medicine. And again, Venus is helpful to find that beauty, to find the beauty, the truth, and the honesty. To me, Venus is about walking a path of beauty and embodying our light. And so she's very much here to assist with that. For me, Isis is about sovereignty, reclaiming your power, understanding who you are, and being firm in that sense of self, and able to move about from an empowered space, not a mean space, an empowered space, understanding your worth and value and letting your light radiate, right? So very important, first and foremost, to really deal with your feelings. And there's no way out of that but accepting that you're feeling them, and that those are the feelings and that's the reality. You know, your mind can kind of get on a hamster wheel of the reasons why, the things why, and the beauty of ritual and that altar and your sacred space is you can just lay down in front of that altar and weep, rage, cry, let it out with the goddesses or the gods or spirit guides of your choice, and let them guide the release. You know, and you can use tarot as a communication tool with them to understand how you can best hold space for yourself. And then after that time, it does then become shadow work time, right? If it's been the ending of a relationship or friendship or connection with a family member, looking at what you brought to the table in that dynamic, not from a place of drowning in your guilt and shame, because that's another coping mechanism, but just being real with yourself about how your own shadow participated in the experience, and how your perspective may be very different than the other person's, and that it's not an either or, both are allowed to exist. Now, if there is a physical loss, the person has died, they've passed away, this piece will be a little bit different. I found for me that the shadow work piece that came up this last go around loss through death was more honoring the person's life and looking at how I tend to react to loss by putting up walls, right? So if you're coming to this video because you're currently dealing with the loss of someone through death, then the shadow work piece for you will be, you know, how you're trying to protect yourself from that pain. And how can you let those walls down, let the pain in, not drown in it, but let the pain in. And also constructive ways that you can find to honor the individual's life and their essence, right? And that is a space that I think you can definitely work with Venus there if you want to, but for me, like Isis is core to any shadow work that I do. Isis and Hecate are always my bitches in the saddle with me, you know, like Isis is very, very good at making sure that nothing enters your healing space when you're engaging in shadow work that's going to hold any level of resonance that's not helpful. She's very protective, and she's also very honest, loving but honest, very truthful. So Isis can really be an energy that you can call in and work with around that shadow work piece, that honoring piece, and that next phase, which is getting to know yourself again. So the beauty of these experiences, while being visceral and loss is so painful, right? I'm not trying to negate that. But the beauty of the experiences is that it does, if we embrace it instead of running away from it, give us a chance to grow and evolve as a soul. And so then we've shifted and changed. So getting to know yourself again becomes, for me at least, and a space I find as a facilitator, I find that this is the next step, is getting to know yourself. So there's this beauty of getting to know who you are now that you've been walking through the tower, now that you've been walking through the Three of Swords, now that you've been brought down to the bone, now that you've been brought to your knees, you've glimpsed the core foundation of you that's unassailable, but also truths about yourself that now, armed with the knowledge of those patterns, coping mechanisms, points of views that may have been holding us really narrow and tight, you can start to shift that, which allows for growth within yourself. So you're getting to know yourself. You're getting in touch with the foundation of you and also exploring new aspects of yourself. You know, and that Isis and Venus walk together as sisters, because with Venus, it can get really fun of maybe you're drawn to listen to some new music, or you try that new lipstick, or I don't know, you change how you dress a little bit. Venus is totally down for that stuff, right? Maybe you're starting to put yourself out there and connect with people who are more in alignment with where you're at in your life and your story and your journey, right? Venus is always ride or die for that. And Isis is very ride or die, for really spending the time with yourself. And so I have to say that for this whole beginning part of the story, a lot of time alone is actually beneficial. And I'm going to be very honest with you right now, as someone who's been a priestess and a reader for a very, very long time now. Most people are scared as they're scared as fuck all to be alone, to spend any time alone, any amount of real time alone. Which is why you see a lot of people go, it's a revolving door of relationships, and they experience deep loss in their life, maybe the loss of a loved one, and boom, they're back into something else because they don't want to sit in the feelings, and they don't want to be alone. Times of solitude are actually beneficial for us. And not sometimes, but you actually do need to be alone in order to get to know yourself, because you've got to tune out everybody else's expectations, opinions, how they're trying to protect their own experience that they have with you, because they don't want that to change always, right? So they're not unbiased. So you need to kind of clear that stuff out, all the extraneous voices, and just listen to the voice within. And that does require some time alone. And that can be uncomfortable. A lot of people don't want to go there. But Isis will walk with you through that time very beautifully. Venus will as well, but I really experience Isis as being core to times of solitude for me, to just really again, get real with yourself. And, you know, a lot of times I get requests for how do I do shadow work? Sit with yourself in a room for a little bit. Sounds so easy, really fucking scary sometimes, but it's very powerful. It's very powerful. So time alone, time in solitude doesn't mean you can't ever see anybody, but just like a little time, you know, to be with yourself in that space is important. And then rediscovering who you are, not just through the hard work of solitude and shadow work, but also through the fun of play, through costumes, fashion, makeup, listening to new music, trying a new creative hobby, reading a new genre style of books. I have to say, one of the things that I discovered this winter is I actually really love thrillers. I did not realize how much I love the genre of thrillers, but like I have so enjoyed just opening up to this new area in my life of just like have fun with that. So try some new things, you know, and work with Venus to help you put yourself out there. It'd be a little awkward and uncomfortable, but who cares? Go for it. And that brings in freshness. That brings in freshness. That's the Fool energy. That's the star energy, right? That brings in this breath of fresh air. It helps us to see that like it's not always going to be this dark, but this is a time that I'm moving through. This is a winter season for me. I can't ignore winter. You can't make winter never happen. It needs to happen in this realm, right? So that's a very important part of the glow up process, if you will. I'm so like on the fence if I want to use the term glow up here, but I understand what the viewer was asking when she asked if I would do this. All of those things help you get in touch with your light. So as you come in touch with your light, there is the joy of the freedom of feeling that, right? And then there's also the responsibility of caretaking that light. So how are you taking care of the body? How are you taking care of yourself? What does your soul, which is that light, that essence, that emanation, what does that need to feel this good? What does that need to feel this calm, to feel this peaceful? And not that you're trying to negate ever feeling anything again here. Don't get stuck back at step one. But more, how can you take care of this and honor this, the physical body and the soul's light? And that's like a real inquiry process, and it's trial and error. And I think both Isis and Venus are present for that type of walk. Isis is going to give you the clarity, and Venus is going to make it something that involves beauty, passion, honesty, and anchoring into the physical body. Both these goddesses are very much about embodiment, presence, resonance, and experiencing safety and expression of the divine feminine through the physical, right? And they're also both intuitive psychic entities as well. So you're really accessing a lot of the sacred feminine within these two archetypes, these two faces of the divine feminine. And I think they're both very present for this exploration of how do I caretake this? Which means you might start making some different choices for yourself, which reflects in how the light emanates for other people. So you're going to find that as you're doing this trial and error thing, people are having very perhaps intense reactions to you. And that's not anything that you need to take on. That's not the responsibility. The responsibility that you bear as you open to your light is how do I best caretake this? This physical lived experience as, insert your name there, how do I best caretake this? That's your responsibility. Working in alignment with how you experience the divine, not how other people experience your emanation, your resonance, your evolution, your growth. That is not what you are responsible for. And I think it's important to draw the line there. And Isis is your bitch on that one. She's got your back for that, 100%. And I think in that space, you really start to open, at least for me, it's been very much about, then you have the awareness that the things that have happened to you that have felt really personal, you know, whether that's, again, ending a relationship, someone dies, and if it can feel really personal, right? You start to realize that it's not personal. And that is very freeing. And both Isis and Venus walk with you for this realization. It's not personal. and I'm trying to sit with the right words for this piece, but this has been this go round for me of my own winter season, realizing that it's not personal and I don't have to protect myself constantly from being hurt by loss, perceived rejection, abandonment, even by natural endings. That is huge. And that just brings an openness and a presence to how you're experiencing interactions with all beings in your life, be they corporeal or non-corporeal, like across the board. You start to realize that the things that happen are for your soul to grow and evolve. And I do personally, and this is a personal belief, so you don't have to take this on if it doesn't feel right for you, but I really do feel like this is a time where a lot of us have incarnated to resolve a lot of karmic ancestral threads. And that means that we're going to have some visceral emotional experiences because we've got to feel things and be. And again, that means it's not, you know, there's a lot of changes that happen, and that can feel really personal. We can, especially if we've been raised in really religious backgrounds, we can start to feel like I'm being punished. What did I do wrong? What did I do to deserve this? How did I make this happen? One of my biggest fucking gripes with the manifestation bullshit is that I have so many clients in my practice who blame themselves when their manifestations don't come true. Shit happens to all of us in this realm. Again, there are reasons for it, and they serve growth. It's not personal. So this has been huge for me this time around. And it doesn't mean that the things don't hurt. That's not what I'm saying. This is not like a bypassing so I or you can go back into not feeling again, right? No, it actually lets you feel it even more. But you don't have to blame yourself or someone else for it anymore. You understand that there's a reason. You don't need to know the reason in the moment, but that there's a reason, and that you can look at this as an opportunity to become more of yourself, more embodied, more of the priestess, more connected to the goddess, to the path of the sacred feminine, to the left-hand path, to walking your own path of personal sovereignty, spiritual sovereignty, and responsibility. It's not personal. That's been huge for me this go around. And so when I get asked about, oh my God, your energy is so, it's because I've had this big opening, and I had to go through the Three of Swords all last fall and last winter in order to come to this space. And so there's a beauty to, and Venus helps here, there's a beauty to understanding that those experiences, they don't kill us. They're an opportunity for us to get more in touch with ourselves. Your whole journey here as a human is to get to know and understand yourself. And yourself as an emanation of Sophia, right? As an emanation of the void, as an emanation of no thing, as an emanation of the infinite divine, like whatever, you insert whatever you would like to there, right? These are the things that allow us to kind of unplug from getting stuck in darkness. And, you know, I love the dark, so don't get me wrong here. But as with shadow work and as with feeling our feelings, there's a place where we can drown in it if we let it happen that way. Because staying stuck can sometimes feel safer than growing. And that's why the Fool is a double-edged sword. That's why you can be the fool or you can be a fool, right? It's a double-edged sword. And the power for all of us is to know when it's time to release the shadow work as well. And that's what It's Not Personal has helped me to unplug from. I don't have to drown in this bad thing that's happened. Bad thing. Where is the lesson? Who am I? How can I grow from this? How can I let this open me up more instead of cause me to put more walls up? So that's the beauty of Venus and Ices in the healing journey around Three of Swords times in our life. Now, I'm sure that if you're listening to this and this is resonating for you, you're like, Racine, how do I connect with them? And I have to say to you that the most important way to connect with them, or the most intense way that I have been able to connect with them, is to sit alone in a room in front of my altar and talk to them. If that's really not working for you, you always have tarot and oracle decks to use as voice of the gods, as their way of communicating with you. Look at it as a tool for communication. Pick up your tarot deck, ask a question, draw a card. Sit with the card meaning and your intuition, and trust that they're communicating with you that way. Pay attention to the signs and symbols that you see. Are you seeing a specific animal over and over again? Are you seeing the same numbers repeating? Do you keep seeing the same thing constantly? Ask the thing, ask the number, ask the sign, ask the symbol, what the message is. And there's a level where you have to trust that your communication with the divine, is it imagination? Is it intuition? Does it matter? Does it matter? Because if it's something that's assisting your growth, do you need to prove it in order to be able to trust it? Or can you look at it as something that's helping you to open and ultimately understand yourself better? So these are my thoughts on walking with Isis and Venus for healing from heartbreak and loss and experiencing and stepping into a time of glow up. I hope you found this helpful. If you found your way to this video, as I said, I am putting together an offering in regards to this on the Etsy shop, but it hasn't quite, the seed is germinating. It hasn't quite shown itself to me how it's going to be expressed. But as soon as it is, I will be sure to put the link to that offering in the description box below. I am also offering deity specific offerings at this point in time on the channel, and you can check that information out in the box below as well. As always, it's an honor and a privilege to connect with you guys, to serve in this way within the community. I am sending you so much love and many blessings, and I'll see you in the next video.